Hello YouTube. Today I want to talk to you guys about hypergamy. Let's just get this exactly right, and let's try to look at why this is not as much of a problem as the MRM says it is. Yeah, I'm giving you trouble. I'm giving you some crap, MRM. Look, hypergamy is the idea that a person can upgrade from their monogamous partner to a better one. It's not exclusively a female concept. It's a male concept also, but it's more something that women do. Men do it when they go off and get a girl that's 20 years old with big old giant boobies and a tan, and women do the same thing. But women do it because of an evolutionary standpoint. Usually, there's an actual inner working in their mind that goes in their subconscious saying, "I have to survive. I need a better provider. I need a better caveman. This weak, puny caveman just can't cut the mustard. He just can't do it for me. He's just not going to be able to hunt as well. He can't protect me and my children as well. You know, he can't provide the bigger cave. I got to move on." Okay? But the problem is really, let's look at this whole thing. People don't really understand that their nature is what drives everything they do. You see, when you wake up in the morning and you go to that job, you're actually trying to survive. You're providing for yourself or your family. That's survival in action, okay? When you pass down your genes to somebody else, and when you give the illusion to yourself that you're passing down those genes, you're both surviving, you're handling your sympathetic nervous system because it's a fun and relaxing activity, or any other fun and relaxing activity that you do. It helps you keep from having strokes or heart attacks or other biological issues that may occur. You eat and you drink, you do all these things for survival. These are all in the back of your mind as instinctual survival mechanisms. And when a woman does this, she is just trying to actually go out and kind of improve her situation so she has a better chance of survival. Pass down her genes to a better man from a better male donor for survival. It's survival, guys. Get it through your head how this really works. But the problem is, and I think I understand where the MRM is really complaining, is they're saying, well, you know, they don't realize why, and even the MRM may not completely have made a grasp on this one. And so that's why it's even more imperative that we educate people on evolution and how nature works, I think. And I find it odd the atheist movement is having this big fight, because any kind of logical Darwinian thinking should completely debunk anything that this Rebecca Watson chick has said about all this feminism and atheism mixed together. It just doesn't make any sense. But women may not be consciously realizing why they do what they do. So they might be trying to say, you know, the man was a jerk because he just didn't listen to me enough. He didn't sit there and listen to me talk about that girl at work I didn't like, or that guy at work that was harassing me, or whatever. So she just didn't quite, she hated it. You know, she hated being with this guy, and that was why she did it. That's not why she did it. She did it because she had this inner rooting to try to move up in life. But and you and I both know that. That's why the MRM even openly says that. She's looking for the next guy up. Okay? So the problem with feminism is saying, oh, hey, look, you know what? We don't need to take responsibility. We're women, right? You know, that's what feminism's telling them. That's what they've told them for generations. You know, even if girls were not raised under a traditionally feminist family, they were still implanted with these ideas by society. You don't need to take responsibility, you know. First of all, the man's disposable. And second of all, you know, come on. You know, it's just ridiculous because a woman's supposed to be treated like a child after all. I mean, really, that's what feminism says. It goes back from that old traditionalism idea. The patriarchy. Patriarchy. Ooh, you're all freaking out about the patriarchy, right? Well, the patriarchy is simply another word for traditionalism. It's that old traditional idea system that said a woman had to be protected by a man, the family had to be protected by the man, etc. So that's where that comes from, you know? And so basically, you're playing right into what you claim to hate if you're a feminist. If you say, I hate patriarchy, and you say, you know, I'm supposed to be treated like a child, protected by the man, and not being held responsible by society for my behaviors, then you are playing into patriarchy that you supposedly hate, which is actually another word, a misunderstood concept about the traditional systems that we had in place for the protection of all humanity to survive onward. That's all it was. This was not male privilege. This is what it was. This is what was supposed to happen. Look, you're just playing into it. You're not empowering yourself as a woman. You're insulting yourself, and daggone it, it's time to move on. Now, I understand, okay, feminism is a branch of thousands of subsets, but you all blame patriarchy. You do. And as long as you use that name, you still say that I'm an irresponsible child if you're a woman. And that is insulting. I think more of women than that any day. So, let's look at what the problem is really with society as a whole, and what do we really need to do. I'm just going to shorten this a lot. First of all, you can't be jealous. You can't assume that you have control over other people, okay? Even if you're married to them. They still have the right to do things. To control somebody is slavery, okay? We outlawed slavery 150 years ago, okay? That's why a lot of our laws really need to be changed, because they still are societal control mechanisms. And essentially, they're slaves to larger groups. So, overall, you know, what you guys need to do is realize that everybody has to have their own willpower and will to do things and way to do things. I sympathize with the guys that say, oh, well, you know, I mean, but she didn't like me because of my genetics, and she moved on, and she got another guy, and now she wants to take the kids because she blamed me for not talking to her enough. And in reality, what it was is that she just wanted the upgrade. Well, and maybe she didn't even know it. Well, that's a problem, because essentially what that says is that, you know, a man's going to be punished for no fault of his own and even lose his children, which is one of the most horrible things you can do to a person. And that's a horrible, horrible thing. So I understand where the MRM's coming from, but don't blame the overall concept of hypergamy on feminism. It's not their fault. I admit that one. It is a internal working of humanity. It is nothing more, nothing less, and it's not a bad thing, really, if you think about it. The problem is our society just hasn't adjusted to it properly yet. You know, honestly, you might be better off polygamous, though. You know, if that's really what the issue is. I mean, you know, go out and mess around, because quite frankly, if you're afraid to actually take the risk of having that companion and having a marriage with that companion and taking the risk that they might move on, then maybe you should just not marry at all. I think we'd be better off as a society if people did get married, but I think that, you know, understanding that we can't control each other is essential. Finally, you know, that's really what we have to realize, is how human nature works and how society is sometimes protecting things from no longer being needed as a survival instinct, because we no longer need things to protect us in the same ways, for example, because we have police or whatever, or we don't need the provision the same way we used to, because we have welfare, we have, you know, an easier job market. Women can work now. Women don't need provision from men because they can work now. There are a lot of things that people need to understand, and once we really get to free thinking, we'll actually understand this. And so that's why I really, like I said, I think the whole idea that atheism has actually had this this little civil war going on is ridiculous. Anybody who is a Darwinian thinker, and I salute Dawkins for actually making the point of you know, comparing the suffragettes, or not really suffragettes, but the women out in Muslimina, he said. Dear Muslimina, right? He's talking about the Muslim woman out in the Muslim country who is being beaten and gang raped and killed for her own rape, because they actually kill victims of sexual violence that are female over there. And comparing that to a woman who was in an elevator or something and got approached by a guy and asked to go back for coffee. That is a great example, okay, of the difference. And yet he was shamed for that? Really? Are you freaking kidding me? Get real, you crazy nuts. That is not wrong. What he said was absolutely right. And that's a religion, not patriarchy. That's a religion that has a fringe. Just like feminism has a fringe that calls for gender annihilation, for the annihilation of men. The radical feminist fringe has actually called for this, or male castration across the board. Certain elements, certain people of those groups have said that. If anybody's hateful, if anybody is hateful, it's that flavor of feminism, which you still fly the flag with, by the way. Much like, unfortunately, though, of course, Muslims fly the flag with the radical Muslims in their own way, because they're still, you know, they're still going to have to take that hit, because they still have the same name attached. They still have the same core values. In your case, there's an even worse difference, because you guys actually have said, we blame men for the overall problems of everything with patriarchy. Muslims, well, you know, I mean, you could say that a lot of those guys are very peaceful. But the point I'm trying to get at is there's a huge difference. Don't blame the patriarchy for that, because that's not the same thing. That's religion. Patriarchy is a traditional set of values, and by the way, for thousands of years, men have been protective as anything in the Western cultures, making all kinds of literature about how anybody who treats a woman badly is the most horrible outcast of society, and we've let everything go exactly as it should. You have your rights because men have stepped back and said, well, you know what, we want you to have the rights, and we fought alongside you. So stop thinking that men are out to get you. We don't want to hurt you. We love you. It's the truth. We have a biological imperative to protect you. If we didn't, we wouldn't survive as a species. You're a very, very valuable part of evolution. If you weren't there, we'd be gone for. I mean, there's just no way. So that's my point, you know. And as for hypergamy, guys, get over it. MRM, move on to something else. You're on the wrong topic because you're looking at a biological imperative that, you know, it still exists to a degree. I mean, yes, it is beneficial for them to actually move up and find somebody better to provide for their offspring. Although it might not be the nice thing to do, you can't really control them anyway, so get over it, okay? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Get over it. Well, take it easy, guys.